It's gonna sound like a clunking or banging, kinda like metal on metal. That, my friend, is the sound of the rubber inside the strut mount disintegrating. When it goes bad, it's like listening to a heavy metal band practice in your wheel well. Not good. Not good at all. Next up, vibrations. Not the good kind, but those intense, teeth-chattering vibrations you feel through your steering wheel, seat, and floorboards. If you're feeling that, especially at higher speeds, it could be a sure sign that your upper strut mount is shot. When the strut mount can't do its job, all those vibrations are going to get passed right through to you. Trust me, you don't want to be in the middle of that earthquake. If you're having trouble steering your car, it could be a sign of a bad strut mount, and that's a problem you don't want to ignore. You might notice that your steering feels stiff or loose, or you might hear strange noises when you turn the wheel, like a popping or grinding sound. When the mount goes bad, it can throw your whole steering geometry out of whack, making your car difficult and even dangerous to drive. Here's another thing to watch out for: tire alignment problems. If your car's pulling to one side or you're noticing uneven tire wear, a bad strut mount could be the culprit. The strut mount helps to hold your wheel in proper alignment, so when it's worn out, it can cause your wheels to sit at odd angles. Speaking of tires, keep an eye on those babies. Uneven tire wear is a common symptom of a bad strut mount. When the mount is worn out, it can cause your tires to wear unevenly, especially on the inside or outside edges. If you see uneven wear, don't ignore it. Get those strut mounts checked. Now here's a little test you can do yourself to see if you might have a bad strut mount. Open your hood and take a look at the top of your strut tower, where the strut mount is located. Press down on the car's fender with all your might. If you notice excessive movement or hear a clunking sound, it's a good indication that the strut mount is worn out. Time for a new strut mount, my friend. If you ignore a bad strut mount for too long, it can cause damage to other parts of your suspension system. When the strut mount fails, the strut can start banging around, damaging your struts, springs, control arms, and even your car's body. Replacing those parts is going to cost you a whole lot more than just replacing the strut mount, so address that bad strut mount sooner rather than later. Another thing to look out for is the condition of the rubber in the strut mount. Over time, the rubber can dry out, crack, or even disintegrate. If you see any of these signs, it's a surefire sign that the strut mount needs to be replaced. Remember, that rubber is what helps to absorb shocks and vibrations, so when it's shot, your ride is going to be rough. Finally, let's talk about corrosion. If you live in an area where they use a lot of salt on the roads in the winter, you need to be extra vigilant. Salt can eat away at the metal parts of the mount, weakening them and eventually causing them to fail. If you see any signs of rust or corrosion on your strut mounts, get them replaced as soon as possible. So, there you have it, 9 telltale signs that your strut mounts are headed south. Ignoring a bad mount can lead to a whole heap of trouble, not to mention a whole lot of money down the drain. The average cost to replace a strut mount can range from a couple $100 to over $1,000, depending on your car and the labor costs in your area.